on the first one.
Totally.
We know how that turned out.
That we do. It's oh no, please completely let it play. We actually have some brilliant help in the background. So sometimes when I do this, if it pauses, they're just responding to me. I gotta remember to put my hand down. But side note that I thought was funny, Eurogamer brought up the fact that if these guys had misswung on that ring, I mean, they already knocked the ring almost into Mount Doom at that moment. Like, that'd be the end of the game.
They're literally living on the edge. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just, that was a little bit of a close one.
Celebrimbor's gone. Don't know where he is at this point. But we do have the new Ring of Power. And Celebrimbor has poured himself into that ring the same way Sauron poured himself into the one ring.
And that's such a good way to like explain that, because I always thought it was fascinating how these rings gain so much more power than the actual beings almost made it, like doubled up their power in a way.
Yeah, it's you're risking something, you're sacrificing something, you're pouring part of yourself into it,
Right.
but then you're increasing your power when you have that thing. So when we see Sauron in the battle at the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring, and he's just swinging the mace and sending everyone flying, that's the combination of his power in the one ring.
Gotcha. Oh, that's awesome. This scene, is like one of my favorite with the crescendo of the music in this, and then, right. I don't know why.
But this siege, so the fall of Minas Ithil, so seeing this Gondorian city under siege, getting to play that, kind of reliving those huge epic battles we see in Return of the King, and seeing Minas Morgul. And I love that Barad-dûr is partly built here. Sauron's returned to Mordor, he's rebuilding his power, but it's not at its height yet.
Oh man, that's legit. Awesome. So we'll pause here. This will be our first kind of pause point. And this is actually our first opportunity for trivia. So you guys can just like show us your badassery and knowledge about what is going to go down knowledge-wise. So, all right, we're going to jump into that in a moment. We have things showing up and flickering around. Perfect, good sir. So, as we're going to move into that, our first trivia question is going to be showing up in just at this. You ready? No worries, good people, no worries. It's so trivia number one is in the announced trailer. We just saw a city. So do you guys remember what the city is? It is.
I know.
Oh, you know what the city is? Well, what does it also become to? We'll have the next thing.
Totally my fault.
It's okay. So anyway, we're having some silly background stuff. Don't worry about it, good people. Y'all are beautiful and wonderful for helping us out and for the patient. This is actually our first stream that we've done. Ooh, we're starting to see answers showing up immediately. So for a moment, we actually had A, B, and C up there. So we had gotten just about there, very close. And I'm actually going to have the first 5 people who got it right. I am going to get a text in a moment, and so I'm going to shout you guys out because y'all are pretty badass. So, waiting for it. Ooh, look at all you guys knowing what you guys are talking about.
So many.
I'm impressed. That is fantastic. Go ahead and bring up our beautiful footer again, and then hit the full screen button. Perfect. No worries, guys. It's you know, one of the things about a first stream that is always fantastically enjoyable is that you guys get to discover us through our like puberty years of stream development, right? We're a little awkward. We're kind of discovering who we are. Like, you know, it's like, man, am I kind of goth? Am I more a preppy kind of kid? It happens that way.
Can't even remember puberty, so it's nice to relive it here with you, Jared.
You know, I'm happy to do that with you, Mike. Reliving puberty. God, that's ridiculous. But anyway, so now as I am waiting for some follow-up with the trivia questions, we have some questions for you.
Okay, bring it.
So, all right, so we saw in the trailer just some crazy, fantastic stuff. Just begin to unpack it a little bit for us.
Yeah, where to begin? So, obviously, we've got our narrator who's framing this story and sort of setting it up. And I guess actually, even if we take a step back of where is this story taking place? So we're in between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, but we're still decades ahead of Lord of the Rings. And we're also immediately after Shadow of Mordor. So at the end of Shadow of Mordor, we had Talion and Celebrimbor. They failed to reach the Dark Lord. They were like, okay, the time has come for a new ring.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's exactly where we begin and where we kick off.
All right, so what specifically has Talion and Celebrimbor been doing since Shadow of Mordor? Just banging on a ring, or?
So the thing is, it's sort of the analogy or the way we think of forging a new ring of power. It's like if you've ever watched, there's some amazing documentaries on this. You got to forge a samurai sword. It's like months and years of like crafting and folding and craftsmanship, and like these are the ultimate kind of objects of power you're going to get in Middle Earth. So just the effort of crafting this thing, building this thing, forging it it's a big deal.
Gotcha.
And Celebrimbor pouring his power into this ring as well.
Right. I see Gimmersville just at 101 just was like, gameplay. 1 second, good person. We'll be getting there. But actually, let's talk a little bit more about the game. So we saw Minas Ithil. What kind of scale are we seeing now? Because are we going outside of Mordor this time, really?
Yeah, and that was something that was really important to us. And I mean, it's something that was a big influence even on thinking of the title of Shadow of War. This has to be bigger than Mordor. It has to go beyond Mordor. It has to encompass these kind of epic battles and this warfare that we see in Helm's Deep or we see in Return of the King.
Okay.
So at the start of the game, we're on the borders of Gondor, of this human city. We've got this full-scale city, but Sauron's power has grown. His armies have grown. The Nazgul have returned. So we get to basically visit this human city under siege and fight alongside those human armies and meet different characters and kind of introduce ourselves back into this world.
Gotcha. Oh man, I'm excited for this. Okay, so that feels pretty good. Let's I'm gonna start talking about trivia again then. Thank you so much for that. And we're gonna start moving over to the gameplay trailer as we saw requested so many times. But all right, so for those of you who figured it out, actually, do you want to say the answer?
Oh, wait, what question have we got? Sorry,
the question.
I got distracted reading the stream there.
The question was in the announced trailer. What city did we see, and what city does it become?
Oh, so it was Minas Ithil, Tower of the Moon, and it became Minas Morgul, the Tower of Sorcery.
Yeah. So that was A for everybody, and we actually had a couple names of people who were super fast. So congratulations to Staraptor Streams, Nerillion 5, Sushi Kick, Mager Oscar, and Grant391. Well done, you smart, super fast people. That's pretty impressive. It's well done. But nice. And so everybody else who is excited about more trivia and the stuff, go ahead and be ready for the next question, which is coming up after our next little gameplay a little bit. So let us get that on.
Gameplay?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, oh man, I'm excited for that. I mean, honestly, like, the amount of awesomeness that is in this trailer, I mean, with the tower right over there.
Big open worlds to explore. God. This is actually part of Minas Ithil, so this is a whole open world area.
Oh, it's
open
awesome.
world of the city under siege.
Let's shakeify. Perfect, thank you.
So this is from the gameplay, whereas of course what we saw in the intro was, the CG
and that kind of thing, right? Which was a great CG trailer. But as gamers, we've all been in that situation where we're like, oh, it looks cool, but what is it really actually like?
And everything in that CG trailer, so the Balrog, Sauron, the Nazgul, flying the dragons, those are all game assets as well. So all of that's in the game.
Oh, that's exciting.
And this is our world map now, so we've got the whole ability to navigate between the regions, and every one of them is a big open world. Every one of them is bigger than either of the regions we had in Shadow of Mordor. So huge open world.
Gotcha. Man, that's awesome.
Let's launch the assault.
One of the we jumped through it relatively quickly through the actual playthrough, but it was my favorite opponent that I had in my Shadow of Mordor was Ukbook, and one of the guys in this is Ukbook, and I'm like, oh, it's Ukbook!
Yeah.
This is so exciting to see.
So cool if those guys could return.
Aslar, we miss you, Aslar.
He's not dead yet. Give him time.
8 minutes.
Yeah,
30. I don't know how long it takes us to get there. This guy, I always wanted to call him Ragdug, but I do prefer Ragdug.
Ragdug, yep.
Ragdug.
And he's already scarred. So those burns that he's got on himself, that's from a previous battle as well.
So potentially we had actually had him beforehand, and then he got burned.
Yeah. So when we're seeing the fort assault here, this would be the result of hours of gameplay to build your army or take those guys up. So every one of these guys has a history and a background that we've built to.
Oh, that's awesome. God, this guy. I love how when he's talking, you have the screams behind him, and he's just like, "I fought for you," and it's such a cool touch that personally I get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, revenge was obviously such a big motivation last time, but loyalty, and then loyalty twisting into betrayal and revenge.
That is just such an emotional kind of roller coaster that exists here. Like the friendship to an orc is so cool.
Yeah, and just how that grows. Because I think even on Shadow,
Yeah.
1, you'd have these guys and you just love to hate them and you'd hunt them down and you'd finally kill them. And what we saw was after they died, people would almost miss them. You're almost sad when they're gone. So to then take these guys, we bring more. That's a good moment.
Ooh, it is the no more dog, we bring. I can't hit too hard because then I'll mess up the mic, but whatever. Anyway, this is our next pause point. And so we're going to have some more conversations specifically with what's happening on screen and what we've seen, a couple more questions. But first, we got more trivia for you guys. So, this is a fun one. What are the names of the elven rings made by Celebrimbor? You guys have A, B, and C. First 5, you guys will be the smarty pants who got them. So, anyway, some of the coolest stuff that we saw in this little bit, because it's just like, I mean, when we're about to attack a fort, right? I mean, what kind of strategy would even go into that?
Yeah, well, so there's the strategy, but there's even just how do you want to approach attacking it, because you've got all of this gameplay in the open world. You've got all of the choices you had in Shadow plus more. So maybe you want to go down and hunt down the different orcs to dominate them and focus on building your army, training those guys up, sending them on missions, building up their gangs, getting mounts, getting your weapons. Or maybe before you attack it, you want to focus on weakening the fortress.
Right.
So assassinating those war chiefs, taking them down, using more of a stealth approach.
Yeah.
So to eliminate those guys and weaken it before you go in.
Gotcha.
Maybe you want to focus on being more cunning and infiltrating it.
Cunning.
Recruiting those guys, turning them into spies and like implanting those. I mean, maybe you don't even care about your followers and you just kind of want to one-man army and just charge in yourself.
Gotcha.
So I think the thing is just always giving players maximum choice over what sort of stories do you want to create, how do you want to approach it.
Gotcha. Oh, that's wicked. Oh, very well.
And then when you do go in, it's like, okay, am I going to min-max and match my followers? Am I going to study who these enemies are? Am I just going to bring a big army full of Ologs and just kind of smash my way in?
You know, actually, 2 questions based off of that. When you're talking about min-maxing, we saw that the traits of the orcs was just super, like, broken into multiple tabs now. It used to be that, like, single set of tabs, really. How many, like, traits are we really expecting to see, or, like, what's coming out of that?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. The thing is, one of the things that's really important for us this time is that we have a very meaningful variety of enemies.
Right.
Like, we never want the combat to get into a point where it feels repetitive or it's not challenging. So all of the orcs now can belong and upgrade to become different advanced classes.
Gotcha.
So you can have assassins that can jump out and assassinate you. You can have tricksters that can basically smoke bomb out and dodge around and be really cunning. You can have tanks who can take a ton of damage, commanders who specialize in leading followers. So all of these different classes are going to change how they play. Then we have all of the different tribes. So the feral tribe, marauder tribe, they have unique attacks. They have different perks and abilities. Then we have the fact that fire and poison and curse really affect the battlefield. So by the time you can mix and match all of those elements and have these guys grow in power, you've just got hundreds and hundreds of different types of gameplay. And then they've got their personalities, so their hates and their fears and their rivalries and their blood brothers that'll affect how they play.
Right.
So we just really wanted to pay off that promise that no 2 orcs are ever going to be the same, and that your personal kind of nemesis is going to be really unique.
That's fantastic. That is so cool. Actually, so kind of continuing on, you talked about where like you grow an orc and they level up and that kind of thing, which would probably make like a betrayal that much more like heart-wrenching. How would an orc commit mutiny or do that?
So yeah, it's another good question. So you've got this ring of power. So you're bending these guys to your will. So basically, they're compelled or controlled to be your followers, but they still have a personality and a will of their own where they can resist that. So it's a combination. I mean, maybe it's because they feel you've betrayed them. Maybe you've demoted them from being an overlord.
Ooh.
Maybe you've killed their best mate. Maybe you've left them to die on the battlefield and bleed out and failed to rescue them. But it's always going to be a story. It's always going to be something that's personal to them that makes them feel like they just hate you. Maybe it's part of their personality. Maybe you're going to get a clue in their title. They're going to be called the Backstabber. You know, you're probably going to have a couple of possibilities of interpretation there.
The traitorous Backstabber.
Yeah,
Ook.
yeah. I'm like,
that's the guy as Overlord. Perfect.
Maybe, yeah. So just always trying to make these really powerful stories.
Gotcha. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Before we move on to the trivia specifically, thank you for filling us within that plot. That's fantastic. As a quick aside, what is an Olog, though? I want to make sure that people are aware of what that kind of new character is.
Yeah, so we had Uruk-hai in the first game, who are the kind of super soldier versions of the orcs. They're bred to go out in daylight, be more powerful. And Olog-hai are the equivalent of trolls. So they're war trolls.
Gotcha.
They're bigger, they're stronger, they're smarter, they're tougher. So just sort of really expands the whole range of enemies we get.
So Aslar is an Olog-hai.
He definitely is, yes.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for filling that bit in. Let's go to the trivia questions real quick, because I now know who the people are going to be getting in the top 5. Though apparently you guys are just talking so fast that we're having trouble keeping up. Well done, you guys. Make it hard for everybody. Just go as quickly as you can. But the answer for it was A. It was the Nenya, Narya, and Vidya. Is that how you say that one?
That's how you say it.
That's how.
That's good enough for me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, let's see. It's seeing, you guys are just going crazy fast. I
know, I want to answer all these, but I couldn't possibly be fast enough.
Yeah, it would be crazy tough. But anyway, let's continue on with the gameplay.
Cool.
The disappear magic as it goes away. Yes. And then we'll shrinkify ourselves again in a moment. Now, actually, I have a question that comes up immediately at this point. So we have Talion walking up, being badass, doing his thing, and suddenly, time slows down, he shoots out one of the, giant boulders flying through the air.
Yep.
Is there, a strategic benefit to shooting that, besides avoiding getting hit in the face?
Well, avoiding getting hit in the face by the massive boulder is a pretty significant one. But plus, actually, where we had it before, the explosion can detonate downwards. So if you could time that really well, and actually, in particular, if you've got a dragon shooting fireballs at you and you can shoot that and explode that in his face, that's going to help you bring him down as well. So.
So if you time it right, you've got the dragon breathing, hits, explodes.
Actually, I definitely wanted to speak to something about this part of the game.
Oh, do so.
Just because what we've been seeing since the announce. So we're absolutely aware that things look a little bit easy in the gameplay here, and that's totally part of the fact that we did cheat a little bit to enable just to have the executions on.
Give us a definition of what cheat is, though.
Cheat is not taking damage and being able to use the chords to kind of win through this sequence. But for the actual game, firstly, we've got all these really challenging enemies now. We've got a lot more variety in the combat moves you can do. And we're going to have hard mode this time. We're going to have a difficult mode.
Gotcha. So rather than turning off all the indicators, there's now an actual
hard mode that changes the aggression and the attacks and the behavior of the enemies.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The changing the attacks and aggression as well. So it's more often likeliness to attack kind of thing? Ooh, okay. So it's almost an AI.
I always like how he uses his hammer here, because that's very much what Sauron did to his family.
Oh, that's ooh. Actually, now you're sharing that little bit. Wow, that's an emotional kick.
And just getting the hammer as a weapon in combat, and the spear as well. We can see the spear he's planting, so we've got that as a weapon.
I think that's fascinating that we get to share that that's actually a weapon, because right there you just see it as kind of like an animation. But the fact is, actually, no, that's a tool.
Yeah, we've got sweeping attacks now that use the spear, so that expands out the combat a lot more as well.
Oh, fantastic.
I love that guy.
Dude.
And the slow-mo, the aerial range is really cool as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So you can now pause slow-mo and shadow strike to the flames and unleash this. And then we're talking about Sauron before with the One Ring kind of kicking ass at the start of Fellowship, and Celebrimbor can do the same thing in his own style.
Oh, where the slow-mo is speedy rather than the brute strength knocking you around. It's about the precision.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love the idea of the elven precision to kind of be a mirror in a way to the Sauron mass strength kind of thing.
Yep.
I guess the duplicate opposite, or whatever that term would be.
Well, actually, that's very much like in Shadow Mordor what happened with the One Ring. So Sauron forged it; it was just pure power.
Yeah.
Then he dragged Celebrimbor back to put the runes on it and basically give it the precision and the craft.
Right.
Oh, and the multi-attacks as well, so that's new. So Celebrimbor can come out in the stealth attacks.
That is so cool to see.
Multi-kills. And this is new as well. So the shadow pull, so using the hammer to drag enemies to you. Also new.
I've been seeing that, the get over here.
Yep.
Some people have been describing it as.
Yeah, a little shout out to our friends on Mortal Kombat.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh man, and this, I thought this was a fantastic part because we're kind of talking over a bit, but the fact that the announcer mentions that Motsu is now putting forth the explosives for that, and it's like one of the advantages of a spy orc. It's just another legit kind of bit.
Yeah, so putting in the work and infiltrating and having your spies can really change up you know, the assault.
Kind of part of that strategy. Oh, hello.
I love the cheating death. I love this guy's scar as well.
Oh,
so
the
where
eye.
you've taken his eye out. Yeah.
Woof. Yeah. Seen a couple people talk about the hype train. Choot, choot. Definitely. Woof. Oh, I love it.
And these moments are just awesome. You know, when you've got your follower,
Right.
and if he's there, his ability to step in and save you. This is where you really build up these
That
relationships with these guys.
So I guess this would be one of those examples where if he wasn't made as Overlord, he's like, I saved you, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
wow, that's such a crazy thing bit too. This is actually my favorite part of the trailer, right?
That mode, yeah.
Wait,
Thanks, Deadeye.
that moment. Thanks, Deadeye. I love that.
We've expanded the
Oh man.
RPG systems
Oh, and
of
then
Shadow
this is
War
one of the other
Monolith.
fantastic new additions, which is actually another pause moment here. So before we jump into talking more about all this badassery that we just saw, we got a little bit more trivia for you. Yeah, you ready for hearing this bit too?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I just
alright.
like talking about the gear because it's all new.
I know
and
the gear is
exciting.
fantastic. But before we do it, this one, okay, so this question's a little bit of a tricky one for y'all. So, what does the name Celebrimbor translate to in Sindarin? It is a little bit of a tricky one because there's some debate on what that actually is. But A, B, and C, let us know. But anyway, all right, before we talk about gear, which, I mean, is amazing, let's talk a little bit more about the duality of Celebrimbor and Talion, especially with, like, the move sets that we were seeing.
Yeah. So I think the big thing we've been able to do there is actually give more abilities, more combat to Celebrimbor. So
Right.
make use of the hammer, make more use of the bow and his elven skills there, the sort of slow-mo in the air, give the elven wrath where he can unleash all those attacks. So using the ring of power to really magnify him in combat. And then the duality. So now when you do your stealth kills, you can do multiple kills,
Right.
multiple executions. Actually, another ability he's got, Celebrimbor in the first game,
Uh-huh.
when you were escaping, basically his wraith appeared to
Right.
show the last known position where enemies
Ooh,
saw
yeah.
you. So that wraith now can actually kill and take down enemies,
that's
which
awesome.
is pretty cool. There's just tons of new abilities, new skills.
Well, that really adds to the stealth kind of mechanic, because now it's like the last guy who saw you has to deal with this trap.
Yeah, that's true. And so in the Fort Assault, so where
Uh-huh.
we're looking here, this is very combat focused.
Right.
But because we've also expanded this much on the stealth gameplay, on the ranged gameplay,
Gotcha.
on commanding your followers, like every part of it.
Oh, that's wicked. Oh, that's another fantastic one. Gotcha. Okay. So, well, now we can talk about the loot and gear and that kind of thing.
Excellent. All right, so we should grab this Rohan armor.
All right. So, go ahead and hit play for us, good sir. Thank you.
Defeating Stormbreaker
So we wanna look at the
allows us
tabs,
to collect
basically.
this epic armor of Rohan and equip it.
So the thing, just to go a little bit deeper in. Oh, anyway, here, that's cool.
Cool. Go ahead, pause here. Almost.
Enormous.
We'll watch
Really?
it again.
All
It's
right.
such a cool effect,
All right.
so you can see it over again. But we'll pause it at the tab moment.
Yeah, that's cool. So obviously you can visually customize Talion with all these different armor sets.
Right.
Then you can upgrade those armor sets.
Right.
And we have, of course, the armor. You have sword, hammer, your dagger, the cape, customization. You don't
Right.
change the ring, but you've got different runes you can put on the ring.
Ooh.
You've got gems you can slot into all of the different pieces. But I think what's really cool about this is the way it ties into the Nemesis system.
Right.
So if you have, depending on how powerful the enemy is, if you have epic or legendary enemies,
Right.
you can get this epic and legendary gear.
Ooh.
And then the gear has challenges on it that when you complete them actually unlock even more perks and powers
gotcha.
and abilities.
So with the ones that we're seeing right here on screen is kind of like an example of once you've unlocked a challenge. kind of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, exactly.
gotcha.
But then there's other levels of armor that'll have bigger challenges, more
Ooh.
effects. And then every tribe,
Right.
for each tribe in the game, there's a full set of like legendary armor and gear as well. So if you
Oh,
want to play the whole
tribal
sort of
focused.
elder game of
Yeah.
getting the most amazing gear sets, that's all there too. And all this is totally new compared to what we had in Shadow.
Oh, like fashion Talion. Oh, I like that. That's pretty
Very
legit.
beautiful. Very
Cool. The most beautiful of all
Yep.
Talions. Anyway, let's actually go a little bit forward so we can see all the sets that were there that we just talked about. Here, pause here. Cool. So now we can see the sword, we can see the dagger, the bow. There's the armor set, the hood, and then the runes for the ring. And then
Yep. And then below that, we've got the slots for all the gems.
Right.
And then to the right, we've got the unlocking of all the different sets of the legendary gear as well.
Gotcha. Oh, fantastic. Okay, perfect. So we'll leave it here for a second because I got a couple more questions.
I got to answer one question.
Oh.
I can't. Sorry, it's really hard to do this where you're trying to read and get
know.
distracted and talk. But yes, Talion will be getting some of his beard back.
That's who was the one?
Yeah,
who
he was a
asked
bit
that?
clean shaven there. This is a slightly old build. It's alpha.
Beard,
He
Parrot of
did,
Justice.
yeah.
We got beard. A lot of beard.
Freshly
requests.
shaved.
As you can see, we're all beard preferences.
Yeah.
As you can see.
Yeah, we're
So,
pro beard.
And I mean, one day maybe there'll be the beard nemesis kind of thing. Just the greatest of all interesting things.
That's our sequel right there.
Beard nemesis. Oh, I love
Yep.
it. Gotcha. Okay, well, we got a couple more questions to go through. So let's talk about Motsu again. Specifically with him saving Talion. Now, is that something where if you, so he's an archer.
Yep.
So he was able to save him from a great distance. What happens if, does a guy, run, football tackle your opponent out of the way? What's the kind of, is it a trait that made him like that? Or what's
It's a combination. So it's
Yeah.
are they around at the moment? Are they
Right.
close? Are they in the fort assault?
Right.
Yeah, it's really basically can they reach you in that moment? Are they in a position to be able to save you?
Gotcha.
If they are, they're going to jump in. But sometimes if that's an attack and the guy they're attacking is too powerful, that's probably going to be the last thing they ever do as well. So.
Wow, so they can almost, sacrifice oneself.
Yep.
Oh, that's a fascinating one.
And then the other thing, which we'll get to talk about what
Right.
happens when they die in a minute when we see the Demolisher.
Don't talk about it.
All right.
He lives forever.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right, but before we get to that bit too, so we have Motsu as a spy orc, and we know that he helped us sneak in. Can we talk about some of the other secret stuff that he might be able to provide?
Sorry, I got distracted by the thread again. No, they're not. I mean, in this particular demo, we're trying to show a bunch of different events and we're packing
Right.
them in. But in the game, they're totally unscripted. That's all handled by the Nemesis system.
Okay.
So that's all dynamic, depending on where they are. What's happening in the battle.
Right.
Are they stuck in combat?
Oh,
so it's
cool.
not none of these things that we're showing in the full game would be scripted. All these stories are going to happen dynamically.
Well, that's fantastic. I actually just saw a question, someone being, hey, is it scripted? And it's like, no, it's not, actually. It just, he happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So there's the answer to that one. Man. Oh, we see a couple fantastic Monolith Productions people hanging out. Good to see you all. Thank you for hanging out in our
didn't
chat,
see them.
too.
Get back to work.
Yeah, gosh. All right, so I think that, actually, we have the answer to the question now. So apparently you guys are going way too fast still for us to be collecting any of who specifically is answering these things. So the correct answer to this was Silver Fist, C, for Celebrimbor. It's the reason why it was a little hard was because Silver Hand, debatably, it's kind of like...
So a trivia thing about that.
Yeah?
If anyone's seen Hellboy 2 or read any Celtic mythology, so Prince Nuada in Hellboy 2
Yeah.
is also Silverlance. So it's the same.
It's the
Same
exact
character.
Exact
So
same.
Hellboy 2 is actually a sequel to our game.
It's you heard it here first, guys. There you go. So if you
Yep.
want to learn what happens after the end of Shadow of War, Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
There you go. Anyway, I love that. Let's move on to the next stuff. Woof.
Here we go.
Yeah. Gosh, I love how he's just the stance. Arr, I can take it all.
Look at my new clothing.
I'm gonna make a shout out to one lovely Admiral Meow Mix. I gotta say, thank you for being here from Turkey. That's awesome. It was wonderful to have you and hanging out. I mean, actually, for a chat, for fun, what country are you guys in right now? We're kind of curious. We want to see this explosion of countries. If you guys feel free with sharing some of that, because we're in the northwest of the United States at the moment, and very curious to see what's happening.
Poland.
Poland,
Cool.
UK, Denmark, Whew, Germany. Wow. Oh, now the chat's going by so quickly I can't catch up. Oh, this is the
Some
moment,
mistakes.
everybody. Pour one out. This is the time. This is just salute.
So
We love you, Aslar.
another thing where we did cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
And that he's there in the full game. He should be
Right.
bleeding out. We should get a chance to go over there and actually revive and save him. But
Gotcha.
if we leave him to die like that
Yeah.
and he bleeds out, there's a lot of different stories that could happen.
Right.
So he could cheat death and come back scarred. he could still be part of our army.
Gotcha.
He can come back scarred, but be pissed off and hate us now, so want revenge. So now he's our enemy, but then we can dominate him again. So the story's definitely
that's
not over.
I totally want to talk more about that, but it's
Mr.
the dragon
Dragon,
part.
yeah.
Like this is the moment that everybody is immediately. It's oh my god, this is so cool. It's like the fire effects, the moment when you're like, it was so cool riding a Karagor or a Graug in Shadow of Mordor, and suddenly it's like, oh, you guys liked that? Well, how about we fly and shoot fire? Like,
Well, yeah, and it's such a great way to just travel across. We can get a bit of an idea of the vista as we look out across the open world, so we could explore this whole area as well.
really?
You know?
Okay. That was so on the exploration idea. So how far can one go?
You can go anywhere within the entire sandbox.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's not between the different regions, but
Right.
within each region, within the whole kind of open world of that region, you can fly
Gotcha.
wherever you like.
Okay, so and then if you were to transfer to another region, you jump off, move to that region, and then find a new Drake or something
Yep.
like that. Okay, gotcha. Fantastic. Okay, well, we have more Drake questions, but before we get to these extra Drake questions, we have some more of the lovely trivia for you guys. Now, this one's a little bit more difficult because it is specifically Shadow of Mordor trivia. All right, so Mr. Talion has a dagger, and it's actually a broken sword, and it's named a Karn. Tell us, whom did that sword belong to? That's your question, you guys. Got A, B, or C. So, we have, right now, we were talking about that Drake a little bit. What else about that Drake? Like, why is there a Drake here, for example?
Oh, so in this case, the Overlord, so
Yeah.
the Terror Tribe, they've actually trapped and imprisoned this Drake and put it in that cage.
Right.
But they're really hard to tame, obviously. And actually by using that and torturing it, they were using it as this fire trap.
Gotcha. So that's what put the Drake in that particular specific. Okay.
So basically, as you release it,
Right.
it's going to be pissed off.
Right.
It's going to be attacking anyone. So it's going to be attacking the defenders. It's going to be attacking you. And in order for you to be able to dominate it and ride it, you have to break down its health. And then you see the icon change, so it's
Right.
green. And then we had the shadow mount, which is also a later game skill. So
Gotcha.
we're a lot of hours into the game now.
Right.
You're not just going to be automatically kind of
Jumping
zipping onto every dragon
Drake
you
to
see
Drake.
at the start.
Gotcha.
But late game, you get really powerful.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's legit. All right. So actually, in that sense, would you find like a wild Drake?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All of the creatures as well. So the whole kind of ecosystem of the
Right.
whole environment, and they'll actually vary depending on where you are. So we went past that kind of the island down in the south. That's going to be more sort of lush.
Ooh.
That's going to have different patterns of creatures and things going around.
That was the Nerdin, the one.
Yeah.
That we. Okay. Gotcha. Perfect. All right. Oh, fantastic. So that we'll see the lush continue on that thread of thought.
No, and so here we are. We're up in the mountains, and
Right.
it's sort of snowier. So we'll see different species of the Graugs and
gotcha.
giants and different creatures.
A Yeti Graug kind of thing.
Kinda. I keep forgetting the name of the creature in
The abominable
Empire.
snowman. Or?
Yeah.
Gotcha. There we go. That's kind of fun. They throw
Wampa.
giant-
Wampa.
Wampa.
Was what I'm looking for.
Ah, right.
On Hoth. Yeah.
Throwing giant snowballs. Gotcha. Very cool. Okay. So actually, going back to the Drake specifically, what kind of because it's breathed fire on everybody, so that was clearly a trap, and because oil was dropped on top of everyone as well. Are there like multiple combinations that one can do in like a defense of their fort?
Yes. Yes. So the larger the fort gets, the more garrisons you have, the more
Okay.
war chiefs are defending it, the more upgrades and defenses can be on the fort.
Right.
Whether that's spiked walls, or it's artillery, or it's boiling oil, or it's poison, or it's different traps, or different troops. And then it's not only that you can mix and match those traps or defenses with each other, you can also synergize them with whoever the particular war chiefs are that are
gotcha.
there as well.
And that was so kind of like if we had a guy who was enraged by fire,
Yep.
and then we had the fire Drake and the oil. That guy might get stronger because he got hit by the fire, and now he's even more powerful.
Yeah. Or with the Demolisher,
Ah.
maybe if the fact that he got one shot killed by the fire, he was probably mortally vulnerable to fire. So in
Gotcha.
fact, it was probably pretty sadistic and heartless of us to bring him in the first place.
Oh, Aslar. Such sadness. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, that's fantastic too. So, we were talking a little bit about the Demolisher and how if he is to die, he might cheat death. So, I guess to confirm, if Aslar is to die, he actually might still come back underneath our banner. Like, he won't betray us necessarily.
Yeah, potentially.
Uh-huh.
So, and the other thing, let's say you'd failed in this fort assault,
Right.
and your followers are accompanying you. There's all different things that could happen to them. So they might get killed.
Right.
They might get captured and scheduled for execution. They might betray you to change to the other side. So it's always trying to make new stories.
Okay. So we have the new story bit, and then I guess the other thing is that if our orc was to die, our lovely Aslar, he would also give us loot, though, kind of like after his death.
Yeah. So there's always, especially if you've got a legendary orc, there's always this kind of mixed emotion. It's like, oh, I love you, but you're dead, and I got this amazing sword. So
hope you come back,
Yeah,
and I can kill you again.
Yeah.
More loot. Gotcha. Huh. A loot factory. Interesting.
But that emotion, because it's always a bit mixed up, because you're really what you're doing in Mordor is you're turning the armies of Sauron against each other.
Right.
So whatever happens, you're getting them to slaughter each other. So whether it's your follower dies or your enemy dies or they kill each other.
Right.
And then it's just sort of the stories and the relationships that build up along the way
Gotcha.
that give you this bittersweet feeling when they...
Whew. The emotional loss of the individual. Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, that's as far as the questions for this part that I have. Before we jump into the trivia, I saw a question that was asking, are we going to have this as a VOD? Yes. This exists as a VOD on Twitch, and then we're going to also have it on the Shadow of War YouTube as well. So you will be able to see this, again, if you guys want to pinpoint and find things that you're curious about and wanted to re-ask, that kind of thing. So, but before we move on, we have the rest of our trivia. So, Hood for Talion, please.
Which one?
We've got a Hood for Talion,
Oh, yeah.
please. I don't know, maybe, yeah. But, so, if you guys know what the answer is, it was A, it was Deer Isle. That was the gentleman who owned the sword, who specifically was the son of Talion. For kind of an emotional heartstring pulling right there.
He just needs to cheat death and come back incredibly scarred and what undead vengeance against his evil father.
Oh, that would be hell of a surprise, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else is doing
could
it.
have-
I mean, come
exactly.
on. What's he doing? But anyway, let's continue on. So can't wait to see the rest. Oh yeah. Oh, and then the badass Shadow Strike.
You've
To God.
terrified the flame of war.
Flame
Now
of
vent
war.
into your
Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna ask more about this. Then I saw in the chat people were asking about the shaming and
Yep.
us domination. We will actually do a focus on that after we pause again. I'm just letting you guys know because I'm sure the answer is gonna be super long and complicated. So I want to give
That's how I
time.
roll.
There you go. How to do the roll for sure. Oh man. I think this is like such a fantastic moment though as we're walking up to the fortress.
I actually love Zorg the Haunted in this
Yeah?
moment. Sometimes if you just catch him, he's just butchering his way through these guys.
This time he just doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't even get to shine in this particular walkthrough, but he's pretty awesome.
Jeez. That's funny though, because in a way it's like he's just like bouncing off of them, and I guess that's what would happen if you leveled up an orc chieftain, or excuse me, an orc war chief.
Yeah, he's got this heavy armor. He doesn't give a
combat.
It doesn't give We are a mature game.
Right, okay.
It's okay for us to say fuck here.
Excellent.
I know, it's
didn't-
frightening.
I
I'm
should've
sorry,
checked
children in chat. But it's something where this is a mature game. So,
that. I love this guy's scars as well. So again,
yeah.
he's someone we've really got history with.
right.
So those scars on his face from previous fights.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, actually, on a completely unrelated note, Hurkon the Dragon is what we keep, it's so hard to maintain that cadence correctly. Hurkon the Dragon.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to worry, because in your game, you're never going to meet exactly this guy anyway. So actually, all of these guys are dynamic and procedural. So they just got to live for this one shining moment.
Gotcha. Well, sorry, bro, that you're only going to show up for this moment and probably won't be seen in anyone else's game specifically.
No one else's Mordor is going to have this guy.
Oh, man. Well, he's beautiful for now. We get to have so many wonderful thousands of people get to see him today. Oof. The stab in the stomach.
I love the flamethrower as well.
Oh, the flamethrower on top of that?
Yeah.
So, as I watch through here, this is an opportunity where we're showing how the whole dismemberment is now changed. Mm-hmm. I mean, before, because in Shadow of Mordor, you would take off a head, but now we're seeing limbs and bodies cut in half.
Yep, which gives us a whole new set of scars that we can have on these
Right.
guys as well. So we can have, prosthetic arms they can come back with, or severed limbs.
So if you took out a war chief, they might come back with some claw hand thing.
Yep.
Ooh, that's fantastic to see.
We actually had the claw last time, but it wasn't as the result of a scar. But now we
Right.
can actually do that as scars. So throwing these guys.
I know the guy who gets thrown over his
Yeah.
head. Oh, that's awesome. So I'm gonna grab a question here from a bearded Bannerman.
Yep.
Can you dominate and recruit overlords?
You can dominate and recruit any orcs in the world. He's yes.
Oh, there you go. That's we have the mighty savior moment.
And so this one's a little bit different as a savior moment from the earlier one, because this is when you've got a bodyguard, you
Right.
can summon them in. So you can hit the D-pad and summon them in to help you. So with Deadeye,
Yeah.
he was actually looking for the opportunity, stepping in to save you.
Gotcha.
But with Ragdog, this is like, okay, Talion summoning him in. So you can do that on call as well. You can also do that with your mounts. So
Oh.
you can summon in your Caragor to come
Right.
in as well.
Oh, gotcha. We saw that at one point too, with when he summoned it in and then he went and
Yep.
released the Drake.
Overlord defeated.
I love the stab.
Yeah, you got to make sure.
You really got to make sure.
I kind of like that Khan has a little smile just as he's getting stabbed in the head as well.
Oh man, he's just like, yeah, you're gonna.
He
hate
likes
this.
the pain. He was clear about that.
That's true. That was kind of. His
And then we
thing.
can see that the fortress really is just one part of the overall,
Right.
the larger open world and the region.
Gotcha. Oh, that's fantastic. Ooh, and then we have the finish scene where we see the gear that we gain, we see the level up. Now, this is something that I was amazed that I missed until just like watching this recently. When you bring up who's going to be the next overlord, well, the fact is that the fortress itself reflects it in the background right
Yes,
here.
and of course would reflect it in the world.
The
But,
bones and stuff.
Yeah, all those
like-
changes we see on the fortress,
Right.
you can also see them reflected through the open world. So it's
that's
not just
awesome.
the fortress, we also have different outposts
Right.
and strongholds. So all the towers there will have new banners. They'll have new monuments from, you know, if it was that tribe. Yeah.
That is wicked. And it's each guy having a different style. Oh, that's so much fun.
Yeah, the Marauder, so they don't make this armor themselves. This is
Uh-huh.
kind of stuff that they've looted and pillaged and
Oh, gotcha.
stolen from other people. And then once you have the fortress, then you can make it bigger. You can have more war chiefs defending it.
Right.
Oh, he's upgraded.
The head throw, I love
It's
that.
not actually, it's just the top of it's just the scalp
It's a little,
and
it's
the
a scalp
crown.
style.
Yeah.
All right.
Every element of this
I mean, he's sharing with everybody. He's like, "This is. I said I'd bring you the head."
That's the orc equivalent of a bouquet. So whoever catches that gets married.
Aw,
in
that's
the-
adorable.
Yeah,
That's really, that's, or I guess is the next overlord maybe the equivalent.
could be, yeah.
Gotcha. I like the orc culture and lore that we get to hear. Oh man, that is legit. And then we have the sweet fly out moment where we get to see. It's pretty.
Yeah, Mordor, I think that's something that it's great to be able to sort of expand this world, not
Right.
only to explore different parts of Mordor, so the
Right.
sort of lush islands in Nirn or the deep cave complexes in Cirith Ungol, but also going out beyond Mordor as well,
Right.
so seeing Gondor, seeing Minas Ithil. It's pretty cool.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So that is as far as we're going with the gameplay trailer now. And I've got a couple more questions for all you lovely people as well as you. Specifically, we got a final bit of trivia. And I was supposed to quietly and not noticeably flip this over, but I failed to do that. So anyway, this is another Shadow of Mordor question, which is why was Talion stationed at the Black Gate in Shadow of Mordor? So you guys will have that, and we will see down below. But I guess feel free to lean in and read a little bit.
Yeah, no, I was just checking that. That's it.
Just want to make sure it's the
yeah,
right
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Ooh, gotcha. That is a cool bit of lore, which we'll get into in a second. But first, more questions for you. So, all right, I wanted to save the discussion of the branding and dominating for right now. So we saw 3 options as the initial hit was, and then 3 more options after that. Care to fill in us on those options, really?
Yeah, I mean, so we've got once you've dominated someone, you've got all the commands that you can give to them.
Right.
So as part, you can send them off on missions. So you can send them to hunt down and kill enemies, to fight in duels, to go on missions to get more powerful, to earn gangs or mounts or whatever.
Right.
As well as that, you can assign them to be your bodyguard, so they're
Okay.
on call into combat whenever you want them. But then the other options, so the shame,
Right.
if depending on your level determines the strength and the level of the orc you're able to dominate.
Okay.
And so if he's too powerful, but you've defeated him,
Right.
you can't immediately dominate him, but you can basically mess with his mind enough to strip down his levels, release him, and make him weak enough to join your army.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a way that you can de-level and make those orcs
Right.
less powerful.
Oh, gotcha.
And it stops you from becoming too overpowered with your followers too early.
Right.
So as your power is getting greater, the power of your armies increasing as well.
Okay, so it's the idea that if you met an orc that you really like and you
Yep.
think they're a great combo, but let's say you're level 20 and they're level 22, you would bring the level down.
Yep.
And so they would also lose power.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But then that enables you to get them as part of your army, and then of course continue to grow their power as you
Right.
grow in power.
Oh, gotcha. Very cool.
And then the shun
Right.
is if you are sick of a particular orc, or you want to kill him, or you want that loot, it's like pushing him out of your army. It's returning him into your enemy. And of
Really?
course, these guys are so fun as enemies that sometimes it is going to be more satisfying or more part of the type of story that you want to create
Right.
to mess with this guy and
Oh,
kill him.
fascinating.
But then the other risk with the shame is because you really are messing with their minds. They can snap as well. So you could just turn them into an absolute psychotic lunatic at that point as well.
Gotcha.
So in Shadow of Mordor, one of our most memorable orcs was the Psycho, the guy who would just kind of stare and scream at you and chatter his teeth.
Right.
But you just met him. He was just part of the world.
Right.
But now, within the Nemesis system, guys like that can sort of get created depending on what their story is. It's kind of the mental version of scarring them.
Ooh, okay. So it's that kind of level of like, you're trying to bring them down, but it's almost a risk in order
Yep.
to do it.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is an interesting kind of level of that too. So you could almost raise up an orc that you want as your enemy, build them up, and then go, okay, shun. And then now you get to have him as an opponent.
Yeah, and then you get him, and then you shame him, and then you break his mind,
Right,
and
right.
then you turn him into Reek from Game of Thrones, and then you kill him, and then you bring him back, and then no,
Oof.
it never, yeah.
Poor Reek.
But that's really the big difference in the Nemesis
Right.
system from Shadow of Mordor is that the type of stories we have, the evolution of those stories, how much the orcs themselves can change and evolve and as characters because of those stories has just expanded so much.
Gotcha. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. So we have the expanded on the stories, and actually part of the Nemesis system connection to that, we were talking about the Overlord. So the announcer actually mentioned that this room that Overlord was in would be different for every
Yep.
Overlord, and we saw that different Overlords we could put up would change. What kind of room would we see depending on different Overlords, or like how would they change?
So, I mean, if we think of the different tribes that we saw here, so if
Right.
the feral tribe, you're going to see cages with wild beasts ready to be unleashed. If it's the mystic tribe, you're going to have like, statues and monuments and kind of evil magic and curse around in there. So it's going to really reflect the different tribes and the personalities of the Overlord. So it's not just the room and the space itself, but also the different troops that you're going to be facing.
Gotcha. Oh, that's pretty cool too. So actually, we had talked a little bit about not only that room is designed and based off of that player's actions, what kind of actions did Talion have to do to get this particular Overlord, or like how would that happen with his choices?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because the Overlords are kind of, they're the big bosses that are there stationed guarding the fortress. And so normally everyone you're meeting in the world you're sort of building stories with and interacting, but the Overlord's normally a bit of an exception because you're actually building up to sort of meet him as this ultimate boss.
Gotcha.
But at the same time, you might have someone who you had built up this big history with. He's your total arch nemesis, the sort of ultimate villain in the game. And we're going to want to take those guys because we know, we keep track of who you've been interacting with, who you've got the biggest stories with. We want to take those guys and turn them into these villains and Overlords as well.
Gotcha. Well, that's fantastic. Very cool. Okay. So we take the guys that turn them into the villains of this world. Okay. So in that case, it was the kind of actions the player did, created the Overlord, and the Overlord's now affecting. Awesome. All right. So I think as far as like a lot of our questions are going, that's a good portion of them. So we're going to finish up trivia, and then I'll fill you guys in with what the next kind of hour is going to look like. So what do you guys know for the answer for the question down below, which is actually B. He was exiled there as a punishment. Specifically, his wife had been assaulted by a elder noble Gondorian, and he defended her, accidentally killed this individual, and sort of instead of getting executed, it's because his wife was pregnant, they were sent to the Black Gate to be exiled and safely be away in a way.
He was exiled, yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of a little bit of that bit of lore, so well done on all you guys. Once again, so many of you so quickly that unfortunately we weren't able to pick out the first 5 that were able to rock that. So now I'm going to explain the next little bit that's going to occur here because we have so many fantastic questions that we're going to go and gather so we can start answering some of these. Specifically, we're going to take what is like a trailer break. We're going to put the trailer on again so you guys can kind of watch it and experience it and continue to put questions in, because it's going to be like a 5-minute sort of time that we're going to gather all the questions of yours, look them over, and then we'll be starting to just shout them back at you and just talk. And I think we can start doing that pretty soon. That sound pretty good to you?
Sounds great.
Cool.
I want to
Okay.
answer everything.
Oh man, I can't wait to do that kind of thing. But anyway, guys, we are kind of head out in just a second, so see you in like 5. It'll be cool. A little micro break.
Shadow of War is an epic third-person open-world action RPG, and the sequel to the award-winning Shadow of Mordor. This walkthrough takes place many hours into the game, where we will show you one example of the epic, personal stories created through the next generation of the revolutionary Nemesis system. To save Middle-earth, we will be journeying deep behind enemy lines and using the new Ring of Power to forge an army and conquer Mordor from within. On the world map, we see the many regions we can conquer. Every one of these regions is a distinct environment with unique enemies and allies, including overlords, war chiefs, captains, followers, fortresses, strongholds, missions, and more. Today, we're going to attack and conquer the mountain valley of Saragost and take it from Sauron's overlord, Ur-Hakon, the Dragon Lord. Let's launch the assault. It's not only our enemies and the world that make the Nemesis system unique, it's also our followers. Ragdug the Iron Mount has armored cavalry that can charge through the flames of artillery fire. The Demolisher is a living battering ram with the power to smash enemy defenses. With our followers at our side, we must first face the Stormbringer.
The bright Lord. I fought for you, bled for you, and you left me to die. But I was reborn with the power of the Dark Lord.
He has a history and personal grudge against us. He used to be part of our army before he betrayed us and joined the Dark Lord. He also carries a dark curse, which prevents us from using the power of the new ring.
Come, charge into the flames of your reckoning.
The Overlord has deployed multiple fort defenses, including siege beasts and flame archers.
No more talk! We bring war!
Our first objective will be to break through the main gate.
Destroy the gate! You feel it, don't you? This is the power of the Dark Lord. Yes. Come to me. Suffer me now!
With the Stormbringer defeated, we've broken the curse and can unleash our power as the Demolisher breaches the gate, allowing our army to storm the fort. There are many ways to conquer a fort, from open combat to stealth and infiltration. We've infiltrated a spy within the enemy ranks. Deadeye has placed explosives, allowing us to sabotage the wall and outflank the defenders. The spy is also able to help clear the way by sniping enemies. In Shadow of Mordor, the Nemesis system created memorable stories of bloodshed and revenge. In Shadow of War, your followers can create entirely new stories of loyalty, betrayal, rivalry, and even friendship.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Deadeye.
Nice shot.
We've expanded the RPG systems in Shadow of War enormously. Defeating Stormbringer allows us to collect this epic armor of Rohan and equip it.
I am usually the forgiving soul, but Stormbringer, he was mine, and you've stolen my tail. It's time to dance!
Mounting armored cavalry allows us to ride through the
Hello, good people. As we're turning up the volume so you can hear us again. Hey, it's good to see you all. And I think I should reply with something along the lines of gotcha, 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 gotcha. We're reading chat, you lovely people. You're making fun of me. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, though. It's been fun. So we have more questions, and we're ready to start answering some more of those questions.
Okay,
These are directly from you guys, and so we have collected them. And there's been a lot of questions that you guys have been saying, like, oh, can you tell us about this? Tell us about this. Once again, these are questions that we may not be able to answer today. Absolutely, we'll be able to answer them in the future, or absolutely maybe a bit harsh, possibly answer them in the future. So with that, I'm going to start forwarding some of these over to you.
Go for it.
Cool. Okay, so we have from, I'm trying to get your name right, Slawic56703. Do you guys rebalance the skill tree? Could you mention new duality skills and combat moves?
Yes. So main thing we've done with the skill tree is we've expanded it a lot. So we have more than 100 different skills now. In addition, we've rebalanced it so that we have main skills, and then you have a choice between different upgrades and different ways you can customize those skills.
Ooh.
So you can really adapt how you play to your play style and so on.
Right.
And then on top of that, some of the skills that really do speak to the duality and Celebrimbor's abilities are all of the aerial range skills, the aerial slow-mo. Actually, a really good one now is not just in relation to combat, but in relation to movement. We now have double jump, and we can also sprint faster using your focus, so it's a lot faster and smoother to get around the world, which was important because the world's so mumuch bigger.
Right.
Then we have all of the stealth kills, like the multi-takedowns that Celebrimbor can use. We can see the shadow pull to bring enemies to you. There's a ton. And to your earlier point, like
Right.
as we get further along, we'll be revealing and showing a lot more of the combat and the new skills and
Awesome.
abilities.
Oh, that's fantastic. Very cool. Thank you for the question. That was a good one. Now we have what looks like Zaloclard. Wonderful name, good sir. Can the orcs take castles back from you, and how often will they try to retake them?
That is a great question. The answer to that question is we haven't finished the game, so we're still balancing, we're still tuning. But the short answer is yes, they can reconquer the fortresses. And if they try to reconquer the fortress, you're going to need to defend it. So that's why you need to think about training up your war chiefs, putting them in there.
Right.
That's why you need to think about your upgrades and growing the fort, because you're building it up to defend against Sauron's counterattacks.
Right.
So you can play those as defense missions. If you lose one of those defense missions, then you are going to then need to go back into the open world, rebuild your army, reconquer that fortress. But at the same time, we've got this massive game that, we're still playtesting and balancing, but is taking at least 3 times the size, at least 3 times as long as Shadow of Mordor,
Right.
but actually a lot more. So through the story, we don't want you to have to worry about kind of losing and regaining the fortresses too often. So
Right.
we're tuning that and we're balancing that for what makes a good experience. But beyond the end of the final game, you're then in the Elder game attacking and defending and upgrading the fortresses. So there's just an enormous amount of gameplay there.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Okay, so Axel, excuse me, also, words are hard. I saw a thing in chat, stab gun. I am trying as hard as I can not to say gotcha. You caught me. It's plan as we're continuing on.
Gotcha.
Okay, so gotcha. I know, it's just a good word.
It is. Really is my one. Whenever
Really?
I read anything that I've said, I'm like, why on earth do I say that so much? But anyway.
Really? Well, you want
Really?
to come across that people can hear you and know that you're hearing them.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out, though, as an interviewer.
Can I just answer one that's on there? Because it's a good one. Are there
go for it.
difficulty settings from Kuxo? Yes. Yes, we have easy, we have the normal, and we have hard.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I just did it. We should have a counter one day. That would be a pretty fun
Or a
one.
little jar.
Oh yeah, I like it. Oh, I love it. Okay, moving on to the next question that we have. So we got Shane Lestrange. Good name. Can we free roam outside of fortresses?
Absolutely, yes. So the fortresses are basically it's the castle or the fortification that controls the open world in the area, but we have the entire open world as well. And then each one of the regions, you do actually travel between different regions, but each region is significantly larger than either of the 2 regions we had in Shadow of Mordor, and has a lot more detail in it. So we have, there's a lot more verticality. So in this region, for example, Saragost, where we were looking at this walkthrough, there's caves of ice and ice lakes and mining areas and outposts and growl glares. So there's a sort of vast open world to explore. And then it's by exploring and playing in the open world and playing all the story missions and all the exploration and building up that then you lead to the fort assault to conquer the fortress and control the area. But most of the game is going to be the open world. The fortresses are just... they're sort of the ultimate boss fights of the Nemesis system.
Gotcha. So, okay, the open boss fight, the exploring outside, very good. Thank you for answering that one as well.
That's a
Thank
good
you for
one.
your good question. We appreciate Lestrange. So then we have we're going to have more weapon types for Talion. Oh, excuse me. Are we going to? From Oni King 10. So are we going to have more weapon types?
We don't equip, you have the set of weapons that you have in the
Right.
combat system. So the sword is always going to be your primary weapon. The dagger, so Akan, that you were talking about
Right.
before in the trivia, you're always going to have that. But we've added to the sorts of weapons that you can use by giving Celebrimbor more weapons. So now the spear that we see, which is Aeglos, it's actually the spear of Gil-galad that he used when he was fighting against Sauron. But so you can use that. You can use that for heavy attacks and sweeping attacks. You can use that when you're mounted on the Caragors. The hammer, that's Celebrimbor's as well.
It's actually, we have on the screen.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
holding
absolutely.
if we can do a quick jump to that.
Yep.
See him right here. He's actually holding the spear. Is it?
Yeah, so you can use that both mounted and also just in melee combat as well. So it gives us
Gotcha.
these big, heavy sweeping attacks. So,
Sorry.
and then the hammer is now a weapon you can use in combat. So Celebrimbor can use that for his stealth kills. He can use that in battle. So now we have the sword, the dagger, the hammer, the bow, and the spear.
I'm not saying it. Gotcha.
You should find a thesaurus. for gotcha.
thesaurus?
There's got to be alternates to
Well,
gotcha.
there's of course. Oh, I understand. I understand. Like that kind of thing.
Indeed.
Indeed. Indubitably.
Yeah.
Another good one. So we have some more questions. Thank you for that good question as well.
Forsooth.
Forsooth. Ooh, that's a fun one as well. So we have from Nassaron. Are fort attacks, us as defenders, scripted or random and periodical occurrences? So to make sure I understand that correctly, it is, are we in a fort attack? Are people attacking us? And then are we in control of Talion during that attack?
So yes, but also, actually, that's an interesting question. They are so they're going to be, if they're happening in the campaign, they're going to be using the Nemesis system. So the enemies that will be attacking you will be dynamic, and could be enemies you've met before, or new forces, new armies that are invading your region to try and take it back. So I guess the short answer to that question is it could be either.
Interesting. Okay.
But we'll definitely want to show a fort defense at some time further down the road as gameplay as well.
Well, there you go. Fort defense for sure. Or anything whatever. It's nothing has been confirmed. And let's see. So we have from Gabatrax. It's at the end of gameplay, we can see more fortresses in the region. Will we be able to conquer them like this fortress, for example?
Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
More fortresses.
And not only that, I mean, as we started and we were looking at the walkthrough, the different fortresses could have been significantly tougher than this fortress and larger in terms of what you were having to fight against. So the fortress we played, we had to defeat 2 war chiefs in order to conquer that.
Right.
So that could be, they can get significantly bigger and tougher and crazier than that as well.
And that's that level that was at the top.
Yes.
when we
So,
entered.
for example, if we look at the walkthrough and we see Gorgoroth,
Right.
it was, massively more powerful and more difficult. So the different regions and the different fortresses are going to vary in terms of how hard they are. And so then again, it's always up to you as the player. You could go straight after the toughest one in Gorgoroth, right near Barad-dûr, or you could work your way up through them.
Oh, interesting. So that would be that opportunity where if you're going to fight the incredibly hard one in Gorgoroth, you would potentially do the spy mechanic, or you would...
Yeah, you might want to weaken it by assassinating more of the war chiefs first. You won't want to build your army up high. You probably want to make sure you're higher level. But it's always your choice about how to approach the campaign and conquering Mordor.
Kind of make it harder, make it easier, depending on the strategy you employ.
Yep.
Gotcha. I'm proud of how I speak. Anyway, so we have another one from FreeKill117, which is, will this fort capture and defense system be the mainstay of the game, or are they the side profile of the story?
I got totally distracted by the stream again.
All
Just
right.
try that again.
All
Sorry,
right, so
try me again.
Assuming I got this right, I believe
block
what you're
this out.
saying. I know, it's so much fun to read. So assuming that we got this question right, you're asking, is the fort capture the main thing we're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So you can almost think of them like boss fights, in terms of the overall percentage of what your time is. Maybe it's 10% or less. They're like these big epic missions that are the culmination of all of the gameplay in the open world and in the Nemesis system. So they're everything you did in Shadow of Mordor is just leading up to these fort assaults. But as well as that, we have everything else that you'd have in a sort of open world action RPG as well. So we've got all the story missions, all of the main story. We've also fleshed out all of the side missions as well now. So they are sort of fully featured story missions with their own characters and cinematics and stories. So all of the story is a lot richer as well. And obviously we'll want to show more of that. Then there's all of the exploration and puzzle solving around the world to explore and discover more of the lore and history and get those all of the rewards associated with that. And then there's the whole Nemesis system in the sandbox. So you've constantly got this living world. So they're a culmination of a big mission in the region, but they're not the main thing that you're going to be doing.
All right. So there will be the side missions, kind of like how in Shadow of Mordor you had the legends of your weapons.
Yeah, every single... I mean, I guess the thing is, everything in Shadow of Mordor has been expanded as much, basically, as the Nemesis system. So the forts are important because they're a really key addition to the Nemesis system in that last time in Shadow of Mordor we found, especially in the second half of the game, people really enjoyed going out, dominating enemies, building their army, having their guys, but at that point you had nothing to do with them. We didn't give you any goal beyond just doing that, just saying, okay, I've dominated these war chiefs, this is great. Now what do I do with them? So now the answer to that is you can take that army that's yours, that you've built, and you can take it into these, massive epic battles. And then even after you've done that, you can keep building them and use them to defend and continue to upgrade those fortresses, as they're counterattacked. So it's really just making sure we keep all the player stories and the living world just going and evolving.
Fantastic, thank you. So, and with that, that's actually all the questions that I had sent from our kind of pre-grabbed chat questions as well. So if you guys, I guess until we get a next batch of that, how about we answer some questions that are just coming directly to us?
Yeah, that seems sure. Oh, it's cool.
So as you guys start asking your questions in chat again, because now we're directly looking at y'all, and we can't wait to see what you have to say. So, I mean...
Oh, I think sorry I missed the name because it rolled past, but someone asked, will the Balrog in the trailer be in the game? Absolutely, yes. So everything that's in the trailer, from the Witch King, riding on the Drake, through to the Balrog, through to Sauron and Barad-dûr, all of those things are in the game and playable.
Wow,
it's going fast.
Actually, do we have slow mode on so that you can set that yourself? Perfect, and that would be... We do! You guys broke slow mode. I am impressed.
Okay. Oh, whoa.
Wow. Okay, all right. Oh. So, how about we put this... How do we do it? If you, let's see, as we're trying to catch things. This is quite an impressive bit.
Oh, okay. I grabbed one.
We have an ability. We can stop.
Oh, phew.
There we go. Oh.
Okay. Will old NPCs be returning? I didn't see who that was from.
Let's see. I'll scroll back up to catch that.
Oh, okay. Here we go. 320. Fazbaz 101. Are there any Lord of the Rings characters apart from Gollum in the game? Good question. And so the answer to that is yes. And there's two parts to that answer. One, actually three. So first, there's the villains. So we're really excited about the fact that this time we actually do get to face off against Sauron, face off against the Witch King, battle against the Nazgul. And in Shadow of Mordor, one of the things that was most fun for us was that we got to, by using flashbacks, we got to see Celebrimbor and Sauron's relationship in the past. And we got to see Sauron as more than just the big flaming eye. And this time, we're going to do that with the Nazgul. We're going to learn more about their origins, learn more about them as characters, learn about their relationship to the rings of power that were forged by Celebrimbor and Sauron. We get the most iconic, powerful, evil villains from the whole of Lord of the Rings. We get to have all this great history and story and gameplay with them. And then we do have some returning characters, so like Gollum. And then we do have some other really iconic and exciting characters from from Lord of the Rings that we're not going to reveal just yet. But then we also have a bunch of new characters that we're introducing, some of whom we saw in the trailer as well. So that's a cool question. We're excited about that. Now here we go.
As we go through, let's see. All right, thank you for slowing it down for us. I really liked. There was one thing that I remember seeing that people were saying like, you can't put your orcs in new clothing, as one of the things that I thought was a particular, because they wanted to dress people in. I think the most fashionable orcs was the direction, because they saw Talion had armor.
Yeah, that's a good question, and we thought about that a lot ourselves. But the thing where we're really focused with the Nemesis system is that these guys have their own personality and their own story and their own identity, so they get to choose for themselves what they want to wear.
Right.
And what they wear, like the visuals, really represent who they are as characters and what their story is. It's what tribe are they from, what class are they from, what's their history, what's their personality, are they scarred? So for the orcs, we've worked very hard this time to make sure that what they look like and who they are and what makes them memorable is all kind of wrapped up in the Nemesis system. So we have a huge amount of ways that they can look, but it always means something about what their story and identity and history is.
Gotcha. So rather than there it is again. So rather than having something where it's a character that you're like, oh, we want to dress them in this particular type of armor, it's by the orc themselves are almost choosing how they're looking.
Yeah, and you know, they're going to wear what fits their class, what fits their tribe, what fits their personality, what fits their history, what fits their rank. So overlords are going to be more decked out than war chiefs.
Okay.
And so we've the amount of that content and personality is just expanded massively over Shadow of Mordor.
All right, there is the answer to that question. So we have a couple more questions that are coming from Twitter right now. So at Shadow War Game, if you want to tweet to us, it's we have right now. These are a couple ones. So this is, I won't read these names specifically because they look like they might actually be human people names. So I don't want to necessarily put those out there.
Human people as opposed to orcs.
Human people as opposed to Lymphat, for example, which is a funny name, but I just want to mention that's different kind of things. So let's see. We had one where we're talking about, will the rune system as it was in Shadow Mordor exist the same way as in Shadow War?
Not exactly. Well, no. It's different. It's the same in the sense that the gear gets dropped by Nemesis enemies, by captains and war chiefs, but now each thing that gets dropped actually enables you to craft an actual item. So whether that's armor or capes or swords, so it's expanded a lot in that way. And then the strength of those items, whether it's the damage a sword does or the stealth damage the dagger does or whatever, is so the base stats, the core stats of each of those are on the weapon or on the armor, and then there's a whole host of different perks and upgrades that are associated with them as well. So it's expanded a lot, so there's a lot more on the gear than we had on the runes, plus there's the fact that they also visually customize Talion and the player.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's actually grab another chat one before we go to Twitter, because I was going to go through it. I saw one that I particularly was curious about. It was from DFE The Base, which was, can you tell us more about necromancers? So is that something that we can expand on a little bit?
Yes, so the key ability of the necromancers is the ability to raise the dead, sort of obviously enough, but so those guys are pretty powerful enemies, because you're going to need to think about how to kill the orcs so that you make sure they stay down. So whether that's using the power of Celebrimbor to kind of explode their heads, or whether it's decapitating them, or whether it's burning them in fire. So it adds a whole, fighting the undead adds a whole extra dimension to the combat as well.
Gotcha.
As Jon Snow said.
Jon Snow would say, with a new dimension to
Yeah.
it. So I had another question that was, a couple of these questions, I believe we've been answering as we've been going.
Oh,
but
no, that's an interesting question.
Oh, hit it, please.
No, someone just said, can the loot that you... Sorry, I missed your name because it was going fast. But can the loot that gets collected be transformed back into currency?
Ooh.
Yes. They also said, can that happen automatically? Which is interesting. So the answer is no currently, but that's a good idea.
That is a fun one.
Yeah.
I have one here that's... we've kind of touched on it a bit, but it's the question was, are cultures a thing? As in, will orcs from different areas behave differently, and will they accept different cultures?
Ah, yeah, that's a good question as well. So the orcs from the different cultures do behave differently. So to give a specific example, if the overlord's from the machine tribe, there's going to be more slaves working,
Right.
there's going to be more industry happening, there's going to be more work parties going around, there's going to be more sort of factories pumping smoke. So the character and the culture of whoever the overlord is becomes the dominant culture within that region.
Right.
So that affects the ambient life, it affects the chatter and dialogue, it affects what sort of encounters you might discover out on the world. And for example, if it's the feral tribe, you're going to encounter more trackers, more beast masters out hunting creatures. So you'll have more enemies, it'll have mounts, it'll have wild creatures they're working with. So it's a really interesting way to kind of change the ambience and the atmosphere and the kind of sense of the open world as you explore.
Right. Let's see. I'm gonna try to catch Legless 26 if we could scroll up back on that person, because they literally just said it's hard to get a question answered, and I was like, let's try to get that one.
One last try. Would you be able to capture a drake and use it in the same way the Overlord used it, such as locking it up in a giant case and using it as a siege weapon, as opposed to just branding and running it? Yeah, so that, the Hellfire Cannon, which is what they call the sort of imprisoned drake, that is an upgrade that you could apply and use within your forts as well. And of course, if it's in your fort and you've imprisoned the drake, you'll still be able to do what we did when we were attacking and shoot the cage in order to release it and then dominate it and fly it around as well. You can also, late in the game, get the ability to summon drakes as well. So you can call them in.
Okay, so is there ever like a friendly drake interaction, I guess?
If you summon them, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the situation where they wouldn't necessarily be able to be released, kind of thing, because they're already summoned.
Yeah, they'd be free. So they'd be wild. They're basically, with all the creatures, you've got wild versions, you've got captured versions, and then you've got summoned versions, which you won't need to dominate to be able to ride them and use them.
All right. So I saw another question, which I thought was an interesting one, which is, how does one lose a siege when we're attacking a fortress specifically?
So the simple way to lose one that happens quite often is to die. But if you, as Talion,
What a
die...
surprise.
Well, no, the thing is, it's not like... So at that point, all of the other followers you've got with you,
Right.
so their fate, after that happens, is then going to be resolved.
Oh.
So maybe they get killed. If they get killed, maybe they cheat death. Maybe they get captured. If they get captured, then when you resurrect, you've got a rescue mission where you can potentially go and save them. If you go and save them, they're going to be super loyal and overjoyed that you saved them. If you fail to save them, they're going to be like, fuck you, you're a terrible boss. And, potentially either die again or join the other. So there's, but the other thing that happens when you lose is time always moves forward. It's not just like we save the game and you have to do the same thing again. So because time moves forward, the world evolves. So maybe you attacked the fort the first time and there were 6 war chiefs. It was like insanely powerful, but you killed 3 of them. Mm-hmm. So you've weakened that fortress now. So now you have the opportunity, okay, let's immediately go back and try and finish off the last 3 guys, or do you step back and make sure your own army's more powerful and level them up? So the world's always evolving and in response to what you do, and creating new stories that the orcs that you meet are going to remember. So when you're attacking the fort again, if you failed to take it last time, they're going to remember that and taunt you for that as well.
Have that effect like they had in Shadow of Mordor, where the camera zooms in, it's like, oh, I thought that you learned your lessons, the pacing back
Exactly, yep.
All right, very cool. So actually, when we were talking about the Summon Drake thing, I have another Twitter question here, which was, what kind of wildlife will there be in Shadow of War? So you talked about Saragoth would have like the mountainous region, that kind of thing, but fill us in some more, please.
So I think that's something we're going to show more of later as we go around and explore and look at the different regions. Mm-hmm. What have we shown so far? Yeah, that's probably. I saw someone come. We've got we've got spiders now. So we've got the big nasty spiders crawling around. We do have the ones that have returned from last time. Mm-hmm. So we have the ghouls. We have the caragors. We have the drakes are a big new addition. And we've got some more stuff specific to each region that we'll show later.
Very cool. So let's grab another one from chat specifically, because I am currently have gotten through our Twitter and chat questions, so we will see what else is here from you lovely people. Thank you for all these great questions, by the way. These are pretty fun. Let's see. I saw one that I thought was kind of fun. Will there be siege weapons for attackers?
Yes. Yeah, so we didn't show those in this assault, but you can also bring your own siege weapons. So in particular, you can bring the artillery, so the big siege beasts that can shoot at the walls. And you can actually mount those as well. So you can mount and use the siege beasts to attack and target and fire at the enemies.
So like that large Graug that had like the big ballista on its back.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Let's see. We got some more questions. I like the double lean in as we're reading chat. It's pretty fun to see all this. Thank you everybody again for being a part of it.
Interesting. Sorry, there was a good one there. And again, I missed the name. But so if you've got two orcs that are blood brothers, but they're on opposite sides, and they meet each other in combat, will they be aware of that? Will they respond to it?
Ooh.
And to which the answer is yes. Yeah. So in the same way that in this walkthrough, we had two orcs that were on the same side. So we had the Flame of War and we had Stormbringer, and they were rivals. So they hated each other, and he was angry because you'd killed Stormbringer. That goes the other way. If they're loyal to each other and you force them to fight and kill each other, they're going to hate you for that, you know? So again, you get all these really strong emotional stories.
That's a fantastic one. Let's see. So just to fill everybody in real quick, it is 3:35 right now, and we were planning to start turning down the stream at around 3:50. So 3:50 to around 4. So if you guys still have questions, keep putting them in chat, but expect that that's about the time when we start explaining when the next stream will be, for example. So, but more questions, please.
Ink Packet. Is it possible for overlords to cheat death? Yes.
Ooh.
And obviously, if you've been pissed off. Oh, sorry, can you go back? Do drakes only fly when mounted? Or can they also move on the ground? So yeah, they will, like they're enemies throughout a lot of the game. So they will fly. They'll be breathing fire. They also can come down to the ground, fight, breathe fire.
I really liked the Master of Evil question. Master of all evil. Can necromancers bring back dead war chiefs and overlords?
I like that question too. I'm going to hold off on that until sometime later. But that would be pretty cool.
That would be interesting. Yeah. Let's see. We have a question. Can you please explain war chests, please? Well, we are going to move on to various things as we go. There's, once again, certain things we've been skipping as we've been going through them. Understand that once in the future, these are certain things we might be able to hit. So just as you guys are aware, sorry for skipping over them. I straight up thought you said war chiefs, so I apologize for getting you that moment of It's thought you were writing war chiefs.
Oh, what was that? Take this question, please. Well, go. There was a. What was it? What are you doing?
You guys are writing so quickly. We're trying to catch the question.
If you're killer, he's 28. Wait. If you're,
you guys are writing so quickly.
If you're, would you just keep it still? What are you doing?
We have,
your fort gets conquered.
We have a person who is helping us manage the stream, and
he's deliberately shaking it up and down. Unbelievable. Are there other consequences besides losing the fort? This question is interesting. Yes. So the main consequence will be losing the fort, but of course, what's interesting there is that after the new overlord who's conquered it from you takes over the fort, it doesn't just change the fortress itself, it also changes the ambient life and the wilderness and the strongholds and the outposts. So as you go to retake the fort, you don't just have the fort assault mission, but now you've got all of the confrontation missions against the war chiefs, you've got all of the strongholds to attack, you've got new side missions out in the open world. So losing the fort opens up a whole bunch of different missions. What do you guys think?
It's the more questions that are coming through. Gotcha. All right, so actually, I have a request
Can
that's
we give
been
a
sent to
giveaway?
me.
There you go. That's not Saber153. Do we have a giveaway?
It's at the moment there are 0 giveaways. We're here to chat with you. We're giving you knowledge. I mean, just sprinkling it into your lives for now.
You guys suck.
Oh wow, we're on the same. We're on the same team here.
Okay, no, not really. That's great. Do I get a giveaway?
Let's see. We had a question actually from Forden1234. No, we will talk about fort defenses more in the future. Ah, gotcha. This is a gentleman who apparently has been asking about it nonstop. This is something that we can expand on later on. Lovely, good question, by the way. Apparently you got picked up by some of our mods that they wanted to let us know. But yeah, Forden1234. We will talk more about this in the future. Everybody there are questions that we are missing, and some of them are deliberate. Again, we can only talk about certain specific things, especially stuff that you saw in the trailer. So it's sort of extra questions. Apologize, but most likely in the future we'll be able to get to them.
So I saw again. I'm sorry I keep missing the name, but someone asked if the ring will corrupt you over time. So I think if we look at Lord of the Rings and the consequences of rings of power and the consequence of using a ring of power and fighting your enemies using that, I think that's definitely something that we would have to think about as we think about where the story goes and what Talion and Celebrimbor's.
Some intrigue.
Yes.
So an answer or not answer for you.
Oh, please. So, Dark Lyric, the Nazgul, are they in the campaign or can they appear randomly? So they're not appearing randomly. They are through the story campaign. They are kind of key villains, but we are encountering them both through the main campaign and inside missions. So we really are getting a lot of gameplay with those as well.
I saw a question that was asked, and it stood out to me personally because I kept getting Minas Ithil and Minas Tirith mixed up when I was talking about them. But we saw Minas Tirith in the actual gameplay trailer. Is that a place that's potentially where we might be going, or is that another in the future we'll talk about it maybe?
Yeah, that would be in the future, but definitely
Gotcha.
the thing with Minas Ithil and Minas Tirith is they're sister cities, so they really do share a lot of the sort of the architecture and the scale.
Gotcha.
So we get this massive epic siege and battle in Minas Ithil at the beginning.
We have a couple questions. One from Norindir, which is what is new with stealth combat? I guess because we had talked about that stealth has been expanded.
Yeah, so the walkthrough of the Fort Assault, once you're in the sort of epic battle, it's going to be more about melee and combat typically than stealth. But stealth's incredibly useful for setting up and preparing before the assault. So the new things that we have all of the new abilities around Celebrimbor. So we have the ability to do multi-stealth kills, chain different stealth kills. We have the fact that we can basically manipulate the environment more now. So by using ranged, you can now set either all of the different traps in the world. So whether it's the fly nests or whether it's the barrels, you can set them to attract and kind of, you can turn them into traps to manipulate and use them against your enemies. We have the ability for Celebrimbor as the Wraith to kind of go out and become a trap and take down and kill your enemies. So we have basically more tactical options and more ways to manipulate the sandbox, manipulate your enemies as you're fighting.
Very cool. There we go. Some more on the stealth questions.
Sorry, I didn't see the full question, but the question was basically, can we fight alongside humans as well? And so when we're fighting at the beginning of the game, we've got the siege of Minas Ithil. We are fighting alongside the human army. We're fighting alongside Gondorian troops and other human characters. So we wanted to make that a big part of the game this time. So there is a human army as well. Once we really get into Mordor, there still are missions and stories where we're fighting with people, but when we're building our own army to take on Sauron, that is more focused around the orcs.
And there's your answer.
Someone just asked about the gold edition. So even what we've sort of, I guess, shown or announced, or even actually if you look on the cover of the gold edition, the key thing with the two big story DLCs is they're not anything that we've kept out of the main campaign. Our main story campaign is like massive, and it totally tells the full story of Talion and Celebrimbor and the villains. Both of the story DLCs are totally new characters. So one's called the Blade of Galadriel.
Right.
She's a totally new character. She completely kicks ass. And the other is the Desolation of Mordor. And again, it's completely new playable characters. So they're absolutely big new campaigns that are added on rather than anything we've held back.
Very cool. In fact, actually, you guys can see behind us some of the art that goes up on the gold and things like that. And some of the names that we discussed are actually right here. Mm-hmm. We actually just talked about this character, for example.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
and the other, and the other thing, of course, that you get is the additional tribes.
Right.
And again, we're just making this massive amount of content for the Nemesis system, and it's really, in many ways, the heart of our game. So we want to keep making more content of that, more tribes, more nemesis, more forts, more armor sets. So all of that good stuff will be added on as well.
Right.
So that's a good question.
Ooh, Zasumi. Can orcs fly dragons?
No, that would be madness.
Too
So
much.
the Nazgul, I mean, really, where we're looking at the Nazgul, the Witch King, they flew the Fell Beasts in Return of the King, and we definitely want to give you an equal level of power to anything those guys would have. So you can, but the orcs cannot.
Cool. I missed the name for this one, but this was we talked about it a little bit, so I feel that we should hit it again. Which was, if you have a bodyguard, will that bodyguard betray you without necessarily like an act at first occurring? Like if they were just in your group and then suddenly now they're a traitor.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the best and most dramatic and most emotionally powerful moment for that change to happen. Like like anyone who wants to do a good betrayal, they're going to wait for the best possible moment to stab you in the back. Yeah, because we want you to sort of. Actually, Chris Hoagie, our lead designer, I think summed it up best. He says, you love to hate your enemies, but you kind of hate to love your followers. So once someone's betrayed you, they really become your ultimate enemy. But sometimes there's nothing more satisfying than having your enemy, dominating them, and then forcing them back into part of your army, and then sending them on suicide missions to their almost certain death.
Thank you very much. Oh, I love the Order 66 Shadow of War version.
Nice.
Well said. Gotcha. There's another one was asking about, are executions context sensitive? And so I didn't get the rest of that question, but it was like, if I'm near a wall, will something different happen with Talion's execution animation than if I'm in an open field kind of thing?
They're not determined by the environment in that sense, but we do have the ability to throw guys into walls. We have the ability to knock guys off ledges. We have the ability to throw them into fires. So you can totally use the environment as part of your combat. We have shoulder charge move, which is really good for smashing guys, knocking them into fire. And the other one that we've added now is, as you're sprinting with the right trigger, you can now slide into combat. And as you're sliding, you can hit the bow and go into slow-mo, so do the full-on kind of Legolas badassery as well. Or, jump off guys' heads and then go into slow-mo and shadow strike to them as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can use the environment, especially now that we've enhanced the mobility to give you the double jump and to let you slide, give you slow-mo, use the fires, prime the traps. Orcs have traps and grenades, so fire propagates and spreads now.
Oh, so if it's a fire hits like a field of grass, that will actually spread the fire.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Or if you smash a barrel and the oil spills and then the fire hits the oil, that'll burn. So this the chaos of the sandbox is pretty awesome.
That's fantastic.
How big are the regions compared to the last game? Ryan 8848. It's hard to make a direct comparison because they're bigger in multiple ways. So just the size, they're just larger to begin with. Don't know exactly, but just the footprint is larger. But then they have a lot more verticality. So like where we have mountains and areas to climb, and we have caves within them. We have a lot more variety within the region. So we have forests, and we have vegetation, and we have ice lakes, and we have waterfalls. So there's a lot more variety and density of a lot more detail.
Right.
And then we have the outposts within the region. So whether it's logging camps or slave areas or mining areas. So we have those different outposts, and there's usually 3 of those in all of the regions. And then on top of that, there's the fortress itself, which is massive. But then, even though that's all bigger, the regions then vary depending on what tribe is in control of them. So you can go to the same region and re-explore it, and now it feels different as well. And then, of course, there's many more regions than last time, and there's much more variety between the regions because we have cities and we have forests and we have mountains, and so it's exploring the world is just is enormous this time.
Oh, fantastic! Actually, we you mentioned in the gameplay trailer as we were looking through that was Minas Ithil, and as we were going through it, you could see Minas Ithil. Sorry.
Yep.
It's how I say it. So we saw the city, like people could climb up and go down. So that was what you're talking about, the verticality. Is that
Yep.
Okay, so that's an example. If you guys want to kind of see that again, it's in the trailer, and you can see what sort of the new verticalities look like.
Yeah. Or the to see the environment. Those early shots of Minas Ithil are really good. What else? Will we have co-op? That's a good question. We're not. I mean, that's not something we're talking about now as any multiplayer or anything. However, I will say we are very, very focused on the core single player experience as well. But in Shadow of Mordor, we had a little bit of asynchronous social play with the vendettas. You could go and avenge yourself on a personal enemy, that had killed one of your friends, and they were fun. So that, without giving any details, that's definitely something we're wanting to expand on as well.
Gotcha. Okay, fantastic. And let's take one or two more questions. And
all right. So Fearless, are they going to be collectibles? Yes. So again, we've expanded on that a lot in the first game because it's a really fun way to be able to explore the lore and the history and the connections to the story. So yeah, really good ones.
So I saw one that people were looking for. They were discussing the training of an army. So we can dominate a person. They are added to our army. But what is the process of a training, I guess?
So training, so the orcs have different missions. So they have training missions to grow in power. They have fight pits where they fight to the death against each other to rise up between the ranks. They have hunting missions where they'll go after the different kind of beasts and monsters. They have other training missions to recruit gangs as well. So now the gang that an orc will have might not just be the grunts of the same class he has. So for example, you might have an Olog who's got a gang of elite archers with, fire weapons or whatever. So they can mix and match who their kind of posse is. So that adds a lot more to their sort of powers. So to give them mounts, to give them gangs, to give them better gangs, to have them increase in power, to get elements. So maybe they want to get the fire weapons or poison weapons. So there's all these different ways that they can grow.
Oh, so you can have your orc that you dominate, and then that orc develops their own posse and followers behind that. And so there's that extra layer of strategy, which would then you choose them on how to attack the fort, and so you have this multi-layered tiered strategies for each choice.
Yeah, or maybe you just want to do something awesome. Like I just want to have a whole army of feral tribe assassins with fire weapons, and because that's just going to be super cool and
running with torches, pitchfork kind of look. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so I believe that sounds like our time. It's 3:50 now, so thank you everybody for hanging out. In fact, please continue to put questions in chat. We're actually going to be looking at them and using them for a follow-up stream that is going to be happening 1 week from today at 2 p.m. So again, March 17th, Friday at 2 p.m. We're going to be having our community manager, Mr. Andy Salisbury, who is actually, if you tweet at Shadow at War Game on Twitter, you'll be talking directly to him. So you'll be able to ask him directly these questions. And also after this, we're going to be hanging out in some forums, which one of our mods will be putting into chat, which is going crazy fast. So maybe have to be put in chat a couple of times, but we'll be able to go to our forums, which I believe is community.wggames. Was that it? Yes, community.wbgames. It's .com. That's perfect. So that will be where we have that, and we'll be talking a little bit there, and we'll be gathering questions from that as well. So the follow-up stream will be our opportunity to sort of answer some more questions that you guys have had from here. And so tweet at us, check us out in the forums, and I believe that is everything that we have for today. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. This has been a fantastic experience. I mean,
yeah, it's cool. Thank you. I want to answer everything, and we will. We'll get to it all. There's Bob Ross. That's
Bob
awesome.
Ross,
Thank
yeah.
you.
All right, there we go. I guess we'll end on the there we go. All right. Thank you, everybody. It was a total joy to see you, and I guess we're out. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.